Hi, I'm Sue.
And I'm Mel, and this is Manifesting with Mel and Sue. Today's topic is manifesting your ideal partner versus your SP.
Yes. So again, SP, if you aren't aware or you're new here, is a specific person. So a lot of times people come to manifesting because they are trying to either manifest a relationship with someone new or because they're trying to get an ex back. So we want to talk about the pros and cons of whether you should try and manifest a specific person or whether you should focus on someone new who may be your ideal partner.
So tell us what is the difference between the ideal partner and the SP? So what would be an ideal partner versus SP?
Basically, you would be defining who would be best for you based on the kind of person that you're attracted to, what qualities you're looking for in a partner. Basically, writing down or deciding what exactly you want. The more specific that you get, the better. Because then it's going to be someone who really meets all of your desires and
characteristics.
Yes,
character qualities.
Yes. So that would be an ideal partner, someone that you think would absolutely be perfect for you or the kind of person that you're most attracted to. Versus a lot of times people will tend to focus on a specific person because for one reason or another they are hung up on this one person and they cannot imagine being with anybody else. And I totally get that because I was that way for quite a while. There was a specific person that I was very invested in mentally. And at the time that it was happening, it felt like this person is the exact type of person who can love me in the way that I want to be loved. Like, that's the only way that I could describe it. Like, I never had a feeling for someone like that before. Like, this is the one, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And as I got to know him, because I didn't at first, it's funny the conclusions that you draw from someone you don't know at all.
That's so true.
But as I got to know him, two things happened. One, he ended up being very much like the person that I created in my mind, in a lot of ways, in many, many ways. He was very similar to how I thought he would be. But then also over time, as I learned how important it was to work on my self-concept, I realized that he was not at all what I wanted. Because every time I hung out with him, even though he was great, it was like, I don't think I want him.
Yeah.
And I still, like, every time I see him, I still have that feeling of, like, I want to want him, but I don't.
Do you think that it was just because you invested the time and the energy into that?
Well, I didn't want to fail. So that was
Yes.
another thing. Like, I didn't want to stop because I didn't want to fail. But also, I think the biggest thing about the SP for me was it got me into the law of assumption. It completely changed the direction of my life. And I feel like for that reason, he was a catalyst for me. I would not be here right now if it wasn't for meeting him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying that, like, it would never happen. I think that I've invested a lot of energy into manifesting that one person so it could come together for me. But at the same time, I don't care anymore because I actually manifested someone that is very much like the ideal partner that I wanted. So what are your opinions on manifesting an ideal partner?
Well, I definitely agree with you on that. I actually have a funny story about that because before I even knew what conscious creation was, manifesting and all that, I created a list. I had just gotten out of, I was a lot younger and, a newly single mom of 2 babies. And I'm like, I'm so sick of picking crappy boyfriends and getting in really crappy relationships. So I'm like, I'm going to set the standard. This is my non-negotiables. And I grabbed a notepad and I wrote everything that I wanted in my ideal partner. And I'm like, this is what he has to have. And I literally created my husband and everything I put on there. I was very specific from hair color, height, I manifested his personality, like I wrote down everything. And you can't be too, I mean, you can be, but The more specific you are, the better. I was like, I didn't just put, oh, he's kind and he's loving and he's sweet. I was like, he has a kind personality. He is generous. He loves to help people. He loves to, he treats me like a queen, which, you know, he always had. And so I was very specific with, I didn't just put vague descriptions. I put more thought and detail into the way I described him. And I still have that notebook. I think it's packed away in one of my boxes, but I still have that notebook where I wrote down all the lists, and I've looked at it in the last couple of years and just was astounded at the fact that he pretty much hit every single one of them.
Yeah.
So like an ideal partner, and it was somebody that I had actually had met previously and never in a million years would have imagined being with. Mm-hmm. But I did essentially create that person, and I married him.
That's fantastic, and I love that story so much. So here's an idea. If someone has a person that they just can't get over, they want this person, what if they combined the technique of manifesting an ideal partner with recreating their specific person? Like, you could theoretically say, my SP has all of these qualities. This is how I expect my SP to show up now. And make a list, just like Mel did for her ideal partner. Make a list of exactly how you want your SP to show up, and just decide that that's the way that he is now, and persist in that. And I think that would be easier than having to try to manifest someone back who may not be a good fit for you, but you just can't get over that person.
I think the trick to that, though, is letting go of the old story. You have to
Yes.
let go of who they
Absolutely.
were and allow them, because I've had her tell me numerous times, she's like, let go of who they were. Let go of the old story, because I wouldn't. And I'm like, why are they conforming? Why aren't they conforming? This is so frustrating.
Yeah.
It's not working.
I remember you complaining about someone a lot. And I'm like, well, what's your new story? And you'd be like, well, I don't have one. Like,
I don't
well,
know.
why are you going to
New
expect him to
story.
show up any differently if you keep saying this is how he is? He's going to continue to be that way, right?
Exactly.
You have to change the story if you want them to change.
Exactly. And you could do that by scripting,
Yeah.
affirming, sats, but you have to allow them to step into that person. And what do you do if they're not in the 3D? If they're not doing that, what do you do, Sue?
You persist. Mm-hmm. And when I say you persist, you have to remember that that is who they are now. Mm-hmm. And so when they start showing up, you can't. I think the thing that we tend to do is, when we have an idea of how someone is in our minds, even when we want them to be very different, we see everything that they do through that lens of the old person, mm-hmm. instead of accepting them as someone new, mm-hmm. you know?
Exactly.
And so that's where the fears and doubts come in, because you would interpret a behavior to be one way where it may not be that way, but that's just because that's how you've always seen them. So that's what we mean by, you really need to persist in the new story.
And be delusional.
Yeah.
You know, even if they're showing up in your reality and they're like, fuck you, I hate you, I don't want anything to do with you, I never want to see you, I'm going to block you on everything, and they do, that person's in love with me. They absolutely love me. I talk to them every day, they're blowing up my phone. Oh my God, I'm so sick of, every time I turn around, I get a message from them. Like, just be delusional and persist. Yes. And then one day you're going to be like, oh my God, it worked. I feel like even as long as we've been doing this, and as many success stories as we have, and we've had some pretty big ones, we still will call each other and be like, oh my God, guess what?
Yep.
So yeah, I think you can definitely recreate that person to be your ideal partner. And you might even have it, we've both had this happen, where we just decided, we're like, oh, you know what? They're not really worth my energy, you know? So, and a lot of it too, I think a great point to make is, who's on the pedestal? Are they on the pedestal, or are you on the pedestal? Because if they're on the pedestal and you're like, oh, they're so great, I don't know what I'm going to do without them, boot their ass off the pedestal and put yours up there.
Yeah, because ultimately what it comes down to is, everyone is you pushed out. There is no one above you. Mm-hmm. I don't even think that I would be on a pedestal. I think that anybody that I meet would be equal to me. That's how I view it. But also, no one guy is going to be better for me than any other guy. Like, there's no one guy that it's like, I cannot lose this person, because there's always going to be someone else, because everyone is me pushed out.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize now, like, I have to decide the person that I want to be with, like the qualities that I want to have in my partner, which I did and I found, and I have to persist in that, and not in it has to be this one person. Does that make sense?
That does. That's so true. And if it's somebody, like she said, if it's, this person they're my person, I cannot live without them, and you know that this is your person, then just persist in, that's my person, and trust. I think that's something that a lot of people miss, is trust the process.
Yes.
Trust the process.
Yes.
It never fails. It cannot fail. It's literally impossible for it to fail.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about that in an upcoming video, and I'm so excited for that, because I have a lot of thoughts. But I think that's it for today. Yes. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment whether you are manifesting your ideal partner or trying to manifest back a specific person. Tell us about it.
And don't forget, go out and manifest that dream life.